Didn't you hear? Her voice trembled. He laughed again. I stopped in the doorway, one hand already on the front door. My therapy bag nearly slipped from my fingers. The patient, Lydia Pavlovna, 84 years old, a widow with eyes full of lived tragedies, stood in the hallway, staring into the empty space as if she saw something behind me. Who laughed? I asked, though I already feared the answer. My Vitya, she whispered. He always laughed like that when he wanted to scare me. As a child. And even in those days when he was dying. I stayed silent. The room was quiet, so heavy it felt like one could drown in it. Vitya, her son, had died 3 years ago. A car accident. She told me how she held his cold hand in the morgue until they took the body away. I stepped back into the apartment. Turned the hallway light back on. It smelled of incense and something sweet, blackcurrant jam, the kind Lydia Pavlovna made every autumn. But now there was something else in that scent. Something foreign. Cold. Lydia Pavlovna, you're lonely. I'm sure it's just memories. A voice in your mind, nothing more. No, sweetheart, you don't understand. She looked me straight in the eye, and those eyes did not lie. He's calling me. Every night. And today I saw him. Standing in the bathroom doorway. Smiling. Just the same as on the day of his funeral, only with eyes like burning coals. I'm a home visiting therapist. I've seen a lot. But that day, and everything that followed, changed me. Something broke inside me then, and reassembled itself. But not the same. I stayed with her. Convinced her to lie down. I walked into her room, neat, cozy, filled with photographs. Above the old sofa hung a child's toy, a plush teddy bear. Odd for an elderly woman. He hung it, she said behind me. I haven't touched it. Ooh, Vitya. Goosebumps ran over my skin. I decided to check the apartment. Slowly. Methodically. And the more I walked, the more I felt. The air here wasn't right. As if time didn't move forward in these walls. It flowed backward. I entered the bathroom. Fingerprints on the mirror. Large, like those of a grown man. And on the glass, as if from the inside, someone had written with a finger. Mama. That night I stayed. I couldn't leave her alone. We sat in silence. I listened to the ticking of an old clock. And then again. Laughter. I turned pale. It wasn't creaking, not the wind. It was laughter. Coming from the kitchen. Childlike and adult at the same time. Joyful and inhuman. He's here, Lydia Pavlovna whispered. He'll take me tonight. I grabbed her hand. No. I'm here. I won't let him. She just nodded, quietly, calmly. And then I saw it. On the kitchen table, a plate, a spoon, and steam. The food had just been served. And someone was sitting at the table. I couldn't see their face. It shimmered like a reflection in water. But the eyes, those eyes. When I woke up in the morning, Lydia Pavlovna was no longer breathing. There was a soft smile on her face. Beside her on the pillow lay a photograph. Her, a young man, and a teddy bear. Captioned, Vitya. Our boy. 1983. I ran out of the apartment. At the entrance, a neighbor approached me. Were you visiting Lydia Pavlovna? He asked. Such a shame. She always talked about her son. But you know she never had a son. What? Yeah. She was alone her whole life. No husband, no children. Made it all up, people said. Even those photos, they say she bought them at a flea market. I didn't reply, because at that moment, I felt something heavy in my bag. I opened it. And among the medical journals and notes lay a plush teddy bear. Just like the one in the photo. Only with a button it hadn't had the night before. It smelled of incense and blackcurrants. A month passed. I returned to that neighborhood only once. Walked past the old building, unable to bring myself to go up to the 3rd floor. Silence still lived there. Just like before. Only now it was deaf. Like a wall. Hopeless. My colleagues didn't understand what had happened. I didn't tell anyone. Because no one would have believed me. Even I sometimes doubted. Did it really happen? Or had I, like Lydia Pavlovna, begun to see things that weren't there? But one day, while sorting through things after another home visit, I found that teddy bear again. I was sure I had donated it to an orphanage. Had even signed a form. but it was in my bag, with the same button, sewn on with thread I didn't own. I picked it up. A note hung from its neck. You saved her. Now someone will protect you. Since then I began noticing strange little things. Wherever I went, in homes filled with loneliness, where the eyes of the elderly silently begged not to die in silence, something unexplainable would appear. A cup already filled with tea, a blanket gently tucked around a patient's shoulders, though I hadn't done it. A faint scent of blackcurrants, like a greeting from another world. Sometimes I felt Lydia Pavlovna was still nearby, not as a ghost, but as a kind shadow, as a memory that didn't scare, but warmed. And someone, maybe her Vitya, now helped me. In those homes where the lonely found a little more light. One day I visited a new patient. Her name was Zinaida Petrovna. Frail, hunched, quiet. I performed the checkup, we talked. She looked at me strangely, as if she wanted to say something but was afraid. At the door, she suddenly took my hand. Her palm was light, like a feather. Dear girl, she said. Do you know there's a boy walking behind you? I froze. He's smiling. Standing just behind your shoulder. Holding a teddy bear. I wasn't afraid. I smiled. Because for the first time in a long time, I understood. This isn't frightening. This is love that never died. This is gratitude. This is what makes it worth staying. Even for just one more day. Weeks passed. Patients came and went. And the days blended into a kaleidoscope of care. But with every new home, I more and more often felt that I wasn't alone. One day I was called to a village. An old wooden house, with a sagging fence and a faded rug on the wall. The owner, Varvara Nikitikna, nearly 100 years old, lived completely alone. No relatives left. She didn't speak much. Just stared out the window and whispered. I once knew love. Now there's only dust and photographs. I stayed the night. Winters in villages are cold, lonely, and the hearts of people beat with effort, like a fire short on wood. That night I heard her crying. Softly. Like a child. I approached. She sat on the bed, holding an old, yellowed letter. It's from him. 1944. Wait for me, and I will return. But he never did. Only the wind in the morning whispers his name to me. I sat beside her. Held her. We sat in silence for a long time. Then she fell asleep on my shoulder. And in the morning, she didn't wake up. There was a smile on her face. Light like the first snow. I knew he had come. And then something happened. I was about to leave when I noticed a box in the corner of the room. I was sure it hadn't been there before. I approached. Inside was a teddy bear. Not the same one from Lydia Pavlovna's. This one was patched, handmade. On its paw embroidered. Nadezhda, hope. I opened the box. Inside were dozens of letters. But not to Varvara. All to different women. Their names, their lives, their towns. And in each letter, the same signature. I'm near. Just wait. V. Then I understood. It had been him. All this time. He searched for those who needed to be heard. Who needed someone to come. Even if not from this world. Years have passed. I no longer work as a therapist. I simply go from house to house. From lonely heart to lonely heart. I listen, I speak, I sit in silence, I hold hands. And then I leave a small gift. Sometimes a bear. Sometimes a letter. Sometimes just warmth. Because I know. The miracle isn't in healing the body. It's in hearing the soul. So that one day, someone sitting in an empty room suddenly feels, I'm not alone. I matter to someone. And if one day you find a letter, not written by you, in a drawer you don't remember opening, if a cup of tea suddenly appears on the table, warm, like someone's care, if you hear soft footsteps across the floor, and smell blackcurrants in the air, it's him, or her, or someone you once saved with your faith, your patience, your kindness. And you'll understand. Your love stayed alive. And so did you. Forever.